Welcome to Behind the Scenes and GymCastic, the #1 gymnastics podcast in the galaxy. Today, 3-time Olympic gold medalist, London all-around gold medalist, Gabby Douglas, qualified with her 2-event score on her last event of Beam 2 championships. She'll have another
3-event score.
And Spencer's back, you guys. She did it. He did it. It basically, Gabby magic Spencer back onto the show. We're also going to talk about Cecile Landi is the new co-head coach of Georgia. We'll tell you what's happening with Laurent. Simone did a very long interview about all the things. We're going to talk about that. And Pacific Rim Championships were an absolute disaster. And I'm going to tell you guys about this. It's our live Q&A show that we do every Friday at noon Pacific or after competitions like Americn Classic today, Championships coming up, Hartford Classic, which is coming up in 2 weeks or a week and a half, Olympic trials, and then we'll do this again at the Olympics. So thank you to our Club Gym Nerd members for supporting the show. Thank you so much, you guys. As you know, we are American, so it's terrifying to be sick. If you're a Club Gym Nerd member, you can listen anytime on your favorite podcast player. So there are instructions in the show notes on how to listen to this. So if you're a club member, there's bonus content in this episode, as well as being able to ask questions live. So switch over to that version now. And remember, this is our more non-wholesome live show. So there'll be feelings. This is more like a PG-14. Today is Saturday, April 27th, 2024. Spencer, I already got my tears out when I saw you on the screen.
Yeah, it was horrible.
How are you?
Not great is what we're going to say. So I've been in the hospital. I was in the hospital for like a week. We found out the reason I was in the hospital and needed to go to the hospital was I have colon cancer. So that's what's happening right now. I'm here today. I have surgery next week. So then I'm going away again. And then, we'll see what happens after that. But that's sort of the situation right now. It's not great. And I hate it. 0 out of 5 stars. But I'm here right now.
You did promise me a year's worth of behind-the-scene content about how horrible it is to be in the hospital.
I have hospital stories to rival, embarrassing hospital stories to rival Jessica. I will tell one thing. I'm not ready. I'm not ready for a lot of them, but I will tell one thing that you will enjoy is that I was in the hospital for long enough. I got a nickname from the nurse, which I don't think you will guess, but I think you will like it, which was apparently I have an odd way of holding like the IV thing when I was like trying to walk in the hallway. And so my nickname was Gandalf because I was holding it like Gandalf holding the staff because it was really high. So that was my nickname from the nurse, which I thought you would enjoy.
I love that so much. Nothing is more appropriate than you being called Gandalf.
Yeah. Lizzie says, can we get a GoFundMe going for Spencer's medical bills? Please do not do that.
I wanted to give a little bit of an update from when we first recorded this, because at first we thought we were going to be able to take donations, because, we always have a donation button on our website, but you guys were incredibly, incredibly generous, and our accountant was like, stop it, you cannot take donations for Spencer, so we've removed that button, but everything that you guys have donated already since Saturday, since this podcast went live for members, has been donated to Spencer. Going forward, the best way to support him, I think, is just to honor his wishes against a GoFundMe. You can visit the Balance Beam Situation site often, and you can visit the advertisers on the site often to support him. I think the thing to know is that whether Spencer can work or not, GymCastic will continue to pay his salary to support his treatment. Like a long time ago, me and Spencer were like, we love this. We never want to stop doing this. This is our dream job. We weren't so good together. Let's get gymnastics married in sickness and in health. And so I just want to thank all of our Club Gym Nerd members for making that possible. So thank you guys. I also know, since this has been out for 3 days now, people have been taking this news really hard, which I understand. And, I didn't break down on the episode because obviously I've known this and had weeks to prepare myself. But just know that, I did a lot of research when I found this out. And the good thing about colon cancer is it's very treatable. It's often curable. And so, in terms of diagnosis, this is not the worst possible, scenario for this. So, don't lose hope. It's, if in terms of the worst thing that can happen, it's, the best kind of worst thing. I know people have really wanted to reach out and send messages to him, and you can always do that in the forum. There's even a Spencer support system thread going, so you can always go to gymcastic.com and send him messages through the forum. And thank you just to everybody who has reached out. Like, the amount of support has been overwhelming, and thank you so much, you guys.
Okay, so with that, let us begin.
But, we have Gabby. We have Gabby
to make us all feel better. And oh my God, there are so many messages of love popping up for you. It's going to make me cry, so I can't even look at them.
This is why I had to come back for this episode. Theoretically, it was for Gabby. Mostly, it was for the pity.
You guys are the best. Okay, I'm not looking, so I can focus. All right. Gabby at Classic. You guys. So, the qualification scores. Gabby not only qualified with her 2-event score, which just changed on April 4th, which is now a 26.4 2-event score, which is a 13.2 average. The problem with the 2-event or 3-event score, which is a 39, that 3-event score.
Her vault bars beam score was a 39.2, I think. So she is qualified to championships on vault bars beam, but if it were to stay that way, she wouldn't be able to compete floor at championships because you can only compete the event you qualified on. So she would need to go to U.S. Classic and get her 51 all-around score. And for as, maybe not quite ready yet, rusty as this performance was, I think ultimately she'll be encouraged that she got a 50.65 all-around score with 3 falls. She'll give me 3 more weeks.
Right.
Cut out one of those falls. I've got my championships all-around score.
Exactly. I was like, oh, yes, it would have been better if she competed at Winter Cup, because obviously she has what everyone describes after 12 years off. How long has it been? 8 years off? You have rust. It's different competing and handle it. Like, you could do everything in the gym, but the minute you have the nerves, it's different. And it's also different from her. Like, there's only 2 other people in the world that kind of understand what she's going through, that are coming back after this long, after being an Olympic champion team and all around so many times. So I felt like overall she looks amazing. Her gymnastics is amazing. Like, her floor, like, the cardio is different when you're this age. You don't literally, your heart, and she has like an insane elite gymnast heart. Literally, and I don't mean like soulfully, I mean literally the organ.
She's the heart. Gabby's heart is what we saw today.
The actual muscle is not like a normal human that she has, as all elite gymnasts. It's better than our crappy hearts. And but it's different. It just, you don't have the ability to use oxygen the same way and be as efficient when you're this age. It's just different. So I can see that coming along, and then you add the nerves to that, and then you add the adrenaline dump at the end of your routine or the beginning of your routine. So she did have that fall on floor. That was her lowest score with an 11.45. No, that was her lowest score. You know what's crazy?
11.85 on bars with 2 falls.
Which was nuts. And I looked at her bars E-score, and I was like, a 5. I can't believe they gave a 5. And I was like, wait, it's not NCAA. NCAA season's over. That's a correct E-score when you have 2 falls. So on floor, let's talk about what we thought about her floor routine, because I was thrilled about it. Not her tumbling's not there. I was thrilled
about,
because it was not wogified. I mean, it's wogified a little bit, but it's not a woga routine. Damon choreographed this routine. So it's the Damon choreography. So Damon now at with the Romanian national team, their national head coach. The music, different, stunning, like aggressive, beautiful, commanding, which an adult woman needs, an adult woman Olympic champion. Just capitalizing on the artistry checklist. For me, that was there. Almost all of it was there. And capitalizing on dance. Every leap she does is oversplit. She has a great double Y turn, which they're super strict about. And I just thought all of that was the smart way to do it. You don't want to come in and try to do all the hardest tumbling.
As little tumbling as possible at this point should definitely be the goal for Gabby. And I feel like if she can get that routine down, it's just a 5.0 D score. But that's, if she gets comfortable with that routine, that's enough to be put it up first in qualification. We'll drop that score. But that's the kind of floor she needs. If bars and beam are fully there, and her Yurchenko double full, I thought was the best thing she did all day. I was like, oh, that's ready. Good, great, done. Vault settled.
Yeah, I felt like her floor was a Koshin 2016.
Yeah.
Like you put her up if you need it.
Give her a little bit more time with it. Yeah.
Yeah. So. But I mean, clearly she can do an Amanar if she wants to. She dropped out of that Yurchenko double full. She had to pike it down to not fall out of it. Clearly she can do it. Is it worth it right now to do it? No. Save an Amanar if you actually need it. But it's so easy for her. She got a 14 so easily. We have a video of it actually that we can put up. Thanks to everybody that shot video who bought tickets to watch. But yeah, it was excellent. And I was really encouraged to be like, oh, this is no wonder this is the first thing she got back, because we heard she got this back 2 years ago, a year and a half ago. I mean, she drops out of that Yurchenko double fold. So, what did you think of her Leo choice?
I have no opinion, but also it's really far away. So I'm like, sure. Okay.
I'll have an opinion for you.
Okay,
I love that she went sleeveless, because it's so like, you're welcome. You enjoy my
welcome to the gun show.
Gun show. Exactly. She was like, yeah. And it just looks really good on her. And like, she chose Sylvia P as her leotard. You know how I love Sylvia P. So of course I noticed the brand. It was different. It made her stand out. It was also giving a little bit of Wakanda with the black and white X. But yeah, let's talk about her bars, because she had she ended up with 11.85, 5.9 D score though. So she had the Ling and the Lee. No, the Ling, right? The Ling and the Lee.
Yeah. No, it's the...
No, a Lin to a Ling, 5.5, and then the bonus connection.
Not a Healy though. Well, but then she fell on her Jaeger. And did you notice her kind of grabbing the back of her neck after she dismounted finally?
Oh, no, I didn't notice that. I was like, okay, she got through it. Only 2 balls.
I was like, she is so freaking high in that Jaeger, and they didn't push a 12-incher in. Like, she landed where she landed. There's a little, the big crash pad. There's a little mat there, but I was like, yeah, that's a really far way to fall if you're Gabby Douglas. I also think she would have obviously connected that Stalder to Kachev, but there was a lot of extra kips in here that were like, I need a breather or it's not worth it.
The pieces are there, but the routine is not there yet. And so that's what you're kind of worried about in terms of the trajectory of like Nastia coming back in 2012 on bars, where it's like the pieces are here, but she's not ready. She was never got to a point where she was ready to do a full routine by the time she needed. And so I think that's the thing you're worried about with Gabby on bars. Like, we're getting up to it now. Things are getting close now. Yes, there's enough time, but also she's got to get consistent with this routine, get all those connections, able to connect them every single time, get through a full routine without a fall. So,
Yeah, this is the thing. She jumped off on the low bar, and I was like, smart move. Like, Chelsea, like, I'm sure she's gotten through entire bar routines probably. I think floor is always the last thing to come because of the cardio. But, and also you don't want to do full floor routines because your ankles are old now. And if you've done elite gymnastics, your ankles are already old. I'm not saying that she is old. I'm saying your ankles have suffered more impact than most people, except maybe paratroopers are the only people that can understand that, but they have a parachute. So obviously it's worse than elite gymnastics. But she jumped off, chalked up, I think wisely. Memel did the same thing. She was like, I haven't made a full bar routine, so my plan was to jump off in the middle. But that Stalder Van Leeuwen, I mean, it's just beautiful. Her skills are beautiful. She caught that Stalder Kachev kind of close, but I'm like, yeah, give her, she has a long time before Olympic trials, hoping that she makes it.
I'm saying there's no time, and Jessica's like, there's so much time.
I'm going to be the optimist.
And I'm like, there's one day, and Olympic trials are tomorrow.
I mean, yeah, I think we both agree that it would have been better if she started competing a year out, even if she just did beam or did whatever was, because I think
I think she also would have liked to start competing earlier than she did.
Yes. I think it's also just that part of you think that you know your body, but you don't know your body under these conditions anymore. And so it's different to experience under the pressure than the way your body experienced being under pressure so long ago, the last time she competed. I wanted to go back to floor for a second because obviously very important to dissect every single skill that she did and moment she was shown on screen. Which, what the hell, USAG not showing warm-ups? It's a meet. Ugh.
It was very abrupt when they would come back from, the competition is in a break screen to like suddenly Joss had already started her beam routine and Jade was starting on floor. And I was like, I was in a different room. I wasn't ready. I need like at least a 10-second warning. Like, we're coming back. The routines are about to start.
It's like it was so important to them not to show warm-ups, which I'm like, come on, just zoom out if that's what you want to do. But I did not like that. We'll get to the other USA Gymnastics stuff in a little bit because I have a lot to say. But I do want to talk about Gabby's use of dance skills on floor. So we had the switch fulls, the double Y, the switch ring, the tergite fulls, the switch full. I felt like they were, from the limited views that we had, solid. What did you think?
Yeah, I mean, again, from this angle, I won't say like, were her feet all the way around every single time, but it's definitely, as we were talking about, a good strategy.
Yeah. And I'm glad they're making use of that strategy because, okay. So going into beam, so we have 3 different qualifying scores. You can get the 51 now. You can get the 26.42 event, or she could have gotten the 39.3 event. And this is all updated April 4th. Good times. Because you know how they lowered all the scores because they were like, no one's going to make it to championships. So that's good for Gabby. But she didn't need it turns out, because she got a 13.35 on beam. And it was not a great, by any means, beam routine for her, but we saw everything.
A solid stay on. And in a pressure situation, because the thing about the petition process is if you compete the all-around at a classic meet, which is a classic meet, you can't petition to championships anymore. And that's relevant. Like for Suni, I think Suni's making intentional decisions to preserve her. Like she got her 2 event score. And she's like, see you later. I will preserve my ability to petition and do the minimum possible. Because Gabby competed the all-around, petitioning's out now for her for championships. So if she had a bad score in that beam routine and had fallen a bunch of times, that would have put quite a bit of pressure on her. So this was a significant routine for her where she needed to stay on, and she did stay on. And so I think that was the most impressive part, even though you saw those nervy moments, like after her layout step out where she checked a little bit and then moving out of it had that bigger wobble where it was like, I'm Gabby Douglas. I don't wobble while just standing there, but things are different now when I'm competing for the first time in forever. So I'm going to wobble just because I got nervous.
And will you repeat that about the petition process? Because a lot of people were confused about why.
Everyone's confused. I'm confused because the rules they need to be streamlined and,
if you do it all, you can't petition. Basically.
If the assumption is that petitioning is if you were injured or ill or had extenuating circumstances. If you're able to compete the all-around at Classic, then you didn't have extenuating circumstances, so there's no reason for you to petition. You just didn't get the score, which makes sense. I'm fine with that as a rule.
Yeah, I agree with that too. And I can see people saying, well, if my wrist is hurt and I don't use my wrist on, I want to be able to petition on bars. But it's like, well, it's only 2 weeks away. And then it's only 2 weeks away. Right.
But then you know that in advance, and if you don't think you can hit it, like Suni, don't compete it. Preserve your opportunity to petition.
What I hate about this is it is discouraging. Well, it's either making you decide in a way you're an all-arounder or you're not. You're either going for 2 spots or 3 spots, or you're not. I mean, when you get to trials, you can do, I'm pretty sure in trials, you can do all around, I think. Yeah. But I also don't like this because it's the opposite of all the rules that we tell people with NCAA versus FIG. Like qualified in the Olympics on beam, you can do all the events when you get to the Olympics. USAG is like, oh, if you qualify in beam, nothing else for you at championships. Don't even try it. So yeah, I dislike that very much because you know how I feel about individuals. Kendall Whitman for USAG floor camp. That is all.
But I think that's why I think getting a floor, being able to compete floor at championships and getting the score is particularly important for Gabby and her Olympic quest because of the Suni factor. And if both Gabby and Suni aren't doing floor, USAG is never going to put both of them on the Olympic team if they're not, at least one of them doesn't have a usable floor score. And so I do think floor is important for Gabby. It doesn't have to be the biggest score ever, but it's important for her to qualify on it and have something there.
Yeah.
Because the way Suni looked on beam, I was like, everyone else should be scared because she just got a 14-3 with no dismount.
I know.
So if she can do that with bars too, come Olympic trials, you want that on the Olympic team.
Yeah, Suni did a I can make a beam final with this routine right now in April, by the way. That's what Suni did. I want to go back to some of my favorite things about Gabby's beam. I know it's a little thing, but I love she did a jump to stoop through mount. I was like,
oh my God, Jessica, if anyone else had done that mount, you would have been like, this boring mount, I hate it.
It is boring.
But Gabby did it, and you're like, oh my God, I love this mount so much. She's so perfect. I love her so much.
At least she didn't do a jump to straddle, like the Woga mount, jump to straddle. At least it was something different, like one thing. That's all. So she did all the leaps. Do you think she got, I mean, by that, switch ring, jump ring, straddle jump, split jump. Her punch front was beautiful. She landed standing up, which, yes, I love that so much. Do you think she got credit on her switch half? It was hard to tell from the angle.
I think she got credit for it.
Some deductions, but credit.
Yeah, I think she got, I mean, there wasn't a switch half in this meet that shouldn't have gotten deductions. Lady Beaverhausen says she didn't get the switch ring for her difficulty, which makes sense, I think.
Yeah.
But also, you know, she's not risking a Kara Aker situation because the switch ring is later in the routine.
Yes. But I thought overall the lesson that I think she did less, and it's good. This is one thing about beam with everyone, including Suni. I don't feel like anyone broke the plane between Suni, Gabby, and Jade, who are basically my you guys you're real Olympic team material at this meet. Like obviously Joss was there too, but I'm assuming, you know, that's what we're focusing on. I feel like when you just lean forward 10 degrees, that's not breaking the plane for the artistry checklist on your side choreo and beam. Lady Beaverhausen, what do you think? I mean, I feel like then you see somebody like Jayla Hang who's like, I'm going to grab a bunch of leaves off the ground, throw them in the air for my breaking the plane on my side choreography on beam. Like that's making a point of it. Or you see how the Netherlands does it. I'm like, oh, this is like they're making sure. I would like to see a little more breaking the plane effort. To make sure you get credit. Like everyone is doing the what's her name that does the beam choreographer.
What's her name that does beam?
No, you know, at the national team camp person who's like so aggressive with children's bodies and has been the beam coach, national beam coach forever. I can't, if she came near me, I'd be like, don't touch me. Any gymnast would be like, don't touch them. No. You guys, I think she should have a safe sport complaint just how she puts people in a ring position. That for sure is a safe sport violation now. Tammy Biggs, her whole thing about getting the credit for, you know, smushing the beam with your body is just like rub it down, drag it back. You'll notice this every U.S. gymnast.
The breasttions.
Yes.
Reach forward, caress the beam. Yeah.
Drag your hand back. That is it. It is, yeah. Everyone did that. So, I mean, it's credit, but it's so boring. It's like, are you an American? Yes. Drag and pull. I'm an American. Anyway, that's my only complaint about that.
My only complaint about Gabby's beam was that the double pike is too scary.
Yeah.
That head was too close to the mat, and it scared me. And I'm like, just like do a double full or something right now.
I seriously was like, did she? At first, I thought her head was touching, but her head was just her top of her head was literally a centimeter above her toes. I think that's how she landed. I was like, oh, you're back. Keep your discs in your back. That's what I thought when she landed. That was a little.
I was like, Valeri,
scary.
Meet me outside. We need to talk about this. Don't fight. Do not do this to me.
Were there any non-gymnastic things about Gabby that you have an impression of, or her interactions with people that, we should wildly speculate about?
Do you have something? Because I felt like we didn't see much beyond the routines, but I assume you're saying that because you had an impression.
I had an impression that she's like, all right, I've decided on you, Valeri, so I'm going to tolerate you. Anna, I love you. Like, the look on her face when she saw Anna was like how she used to look at Christian when Christian coached her. It was like, oh, you are my safe space. So that made me happy to see that interaction. And, everyone says Anna Liukin is the nicest person in the whole entire world. So that made me very happy. George says,
it looked like she over-rotated the double pike in warm-ups and stumbled out of it. So maybe she overcorrected. That's nice to hear if she's also over-rotating it.
Yeah. That is nice. It's also like, then when you do things in competition, you tie at the end. That's also a thing. But I would like to believe, after watching her vault too, and her leaps and her whole beam, I was like, yeah, leg strength, not a problem. Booty power is all intact there. It's, yeah. Mm-hmm. Overall, I feel like I'm not, as long as she got what she needed to get out of being in a competition scenario out of this, like, I feel like she's going to be pissed, and it should make Classic even better. Yeah. Classic, where we're going to get Gabby and Simone competing together, and Suni.
And maybe, Suni. Unless she's like, I got my 2-event score for championships. See you later. I'm not doing U.S. Classic.
I think she's definitely doing it, because I think she knows that she needs as she says, raise your hand. It's all different.
Yeah.
Which her Leah was beautiful too. Like, normally, how I feel about pink, but it was like a faded pink, and the cut that went up to her shoulders, it was like a bodice, but it went up to his shoulders, looked really nice. Whitney says,
do we think she plans to bring back the standing fall?
Okay, her D score on that routine was
I can find it.
Maybe. Oh wait, I just had it open and then I closed it. I have so many things. 5.8.
And she didn't get the switch ring.
Yeah, and she got a 7.55E, which again I was just like, oh, 7s, yes, I love elite gymnastics. Yeah. So the question is, how consistent is it over and over and over, and does she need it? She needs to be in the 14s. So how much does her routine go up if she doesn't have those wobbles and she gets credit? Is she going to have...
I say Gabby is an experienced enough gymnast to have routine options. I say keep it in your back pocket. Be comfortable enough with multiple routines, which I think is sometimes in the US, they're like, oh, we can't expect the gymnast to be, they need to have their one routine. I'm like, you can have multiple routines. Have it in your back pocket if you're feeling it. If you feel like you need the score, go for it. Otherwise not.
Yeah. Oh,
Amy says, please talk about how amazing Myli Liu is. I'm so pleased that she hit bars and beam at the same time and can have the all-around placement to get people to pay attention to her execution.
She's second all around with the 53.9 right after Jade's 55.
She's was
beautiful.
Among the non-famouses who we're going to talk about, she was the most impressive gymnastically in terms of her execution. The one I want to talk about the most is CaMarah Williams, because it's never not boring, and everything she did, I was like, I have 10 million things to say about this. But in terms of execution, gymnastics quality, Myli Liu.
Yeah. Oh my God, I have so many notes on CaMarah Williams. I'm obsessed.
It was
with her.
all I wanted to talk about. But we'll get there. We haven't talked about Jade yet, at all.
Fact checker kept being like, who are you talking about? And I was like, CaMarah Williams. Duh, she's on the screen. Obviously, I'm talking about her. All right, let's talk about Jade. So did the whole NCAA season, didn't do all season, but this is like, this is her 17th meet of the year, something like that. So her vault, she did her typical huge.
I actually, did anyone else feel like that was she finished the 2 twists of her Yurchenko double full even earlier than usual?
Yes.
I was like, she's so comically early.
Yes.
With those twists, and then is landing. And that's why she had that huge bounce back. She was like, why am I done so early? I finished early. I finished the test early, everyone. I guess I should just turn it in.
Pencil down, I guess I'll land. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I'll just land.
They don't take tests with pencils anymore. My God. They're like all online, you guys. Anywho, 14-2, even with that big slide back. And obviously, I mean, just like Gabby, plenty of height, distance, safety to pull out an Amanar at will.
Yeah. That was a Yurchenko double full that said to me, I've been working this Amanar.
Yes. As everyone should be working on Amanar, because especially when you're
some more realistic than others.
Some don't ever do that.
Do that.
Do you like your ligaments? Do you want to keep them for the next phase of your gymnastics? Yes. Bars. Let's take a look at Jade's bar routine. So again, I feel like her bars have become, they're one of the most improved for me. Just her form in general. Like, she's not someone that has the perfect, she doesn't have a cool leg form or Gabby leg form, but general improvement. She caught her inbar Ginger pretty close. Yezova, so nice. Van Leeuwen legs apart a little bit.
Yeah, it's a Jade bars. And I think throughout the events, it was what we've come to expect over the years from Jade. And obviously on floor, she did not do nearly the difficulties she can possibly do. She was like, I'm putting up a good hit. But I think what was encouraging overall from Jade was how comfortable this was compared to her elite routines last season, where we really saw that unexpected season where she was falling, which is not what Jade does. She's the one who comes in and hits all her routines, and when everyone else is missing, she's like, I got a 55 and I won. And we saw that come back today. If she had gotten a 55s at nationals last year, she would have been 5th all around, and we would have had a very different, I think, selection process. So for first elite meet of the year for American Classic, she's starting from what looks like a much more comfortable place than she was last elite season. And so I think she should be very encouraged by this, even though she'll expect to, bring back the Chung or an Amanar, upgrade floor tumbling, all of that. But if she's hitting bars and beam just like that, I hit it, I stayed on, here's a routine, she's in good shape.
Yep. That's what I felt when she had a 13.65 on beam, which is second on beam. And I was like, oh, she has learned the lessons of less is more. Less is more.
Lesson, do an 11-second beam routine.
Yeah, as short as you possibly can beam routine. And I just felt like, oh, she almost had a fall on her series, but she was like, no, we're not doing that this year. That was last year. We're not having that. I am the consistent one. And it's only American Classic. So yeah. But otherwise, really solid. Besides my, not breaking the plane. Everyone needs to break the plane harder. You got to go through all the planes. Break it so hard. Look at the judges when you lean forward and be like, I'm breaking the plane. Okay, check it off the list. And I continue. I also love in the beam dungeon, we can always tell where Amy Borman is because she's the only one that will take her jacket off because she's like, it's too hot in here. I don't care what the rules are. Like, do you want us to have a heat stroke? It's Texas.
Yeah.
I've won the Olympics. I can do whatever I want with my jacket. Floor. She took out the hop full, right?
Oh, I wasn't even watching for it or paying attention. Well, if you're not sure that you're going to get credit for that, if that leg isn't well above horizontal, if it doesn't look like Nola Matthews or Faith Torres, or I thought CaMarah Williams had a...
CaMarah Williams was so high. Yes.
Because the leg has to be above horizontal on that hop full turn. And if it's not, like Jade is at horizontal sometimes, like in the world floor final. Claire says she did it, Jessica.
Oh, she did it. Was it the same as college? I missed it then. Because the whole college season, it would not have gotten credit in elite. Still quite borderline. And then it's a no. If it's not, but you can see it with your eye while you're doing it, then it's no credit. Horizontal's no credit. Thank you, everyone that saw that. Because I was like, it's so smart. She took it out. Nope.
You missed it because her leg was not above horizontal, so your brain did not register it as the skill.
Because that doesn't count. She got credit all NCAA season. I was like, why is she doing it like this? She's not going to get credit. Is this not on the wall? Like, there should be a picture of it. She should sleep with a picture of it done with her leg higher than horizontal under her pillow, like Suzanne Yochlin would have had her do. But no, it's such a red flag for me that they're not taking the artistry deductions and the skill deductions seriously. But I did appreciate her arm wiggle a la the old class 2 and class 1 floor routines. Did everybody get that? She did the wave while she danced sideways. I was like, you go, Jade, showing that your arms can move from the elbows. So proud of her. I just want to acknowledge how far she's come. But yeah, I think she proved like, oh, I can be counted on. You can use me anywhere. And I can give you those big fat vault scores you need because we're competing against Brazil, by the way. That's my takeaway from Jade. Suni freaking Lee. The goddess.
She was like, this beam is ready, except for a dismount. Don't worry about it. Don't need it. I got a 14.3.
Oh my God. It was, she's so good. She's so good.
Yeah, I mean, that's not like breaking news.
I know, but I just every time I watch her, I just appreciate her so much. She's just so, everything is so solid. She doesn't have built-in deductions. Triple wolf turn, it's not even hideous. That's the best compliment I can give about a wolf turn. At least she made her like slide your hand down the meat and drag it back. And at least she did a little Archie, her normal Archie thing that made it a little more interesting. Connected her front aerial to split jump. Obviously, she's always over split, so that was gonna get credit. Doesn't break the plane in her side choreo. Like, if you just stick your butt out, I don't think that's credit. I just want to emphasize this because it's one of the things that the Americans are not paying enough attention to. Do you think she got credit for all of her rings?
Probably, but I haven't looked at the D score to see.
Yeah, she had it. Her D was 5.9. She had a wobble after her series, her aerial layout, and then again after her ring, switch ring. But it's Suni, so she still got an 8.4 E score and a 14.3. And then she just,
the U.S. meet.
Yeah. Well, that's true. And she wisely just did a layout. I was like, good for you. You get a 14.3, which is I can get to beam finals score without a dismount. I mean, effectively.
Yeah, Andrade's bronze medal at Worlds last year was a 14.3. Right.
There you go. Like, it's just so good. That's the thing. I think, did you detect? I mean, I know you're really good at detecting emotions.
Yeah.
Did you detect an air of like, even though she's competitive, obviously she wants to be the best. She's Suni Lee. An air of still that like, I'm here. This is good. I'm happy to do gymnastics. Did you feel that from her?
I did not feel that. I did not get that wafting through the computer. But if you would like to read that into the situation, feel free.
I mean, it's not as much as the like, jump off beam, tear crying across the arena to hug Dr. Marsha. Like, it's not that. But I still detected that part of her that's still like, oh, I'm here. This is great. Like, this is a happiness in general. Anything you would change about her beam?
I mean, I would love to see her mount sequence that we've seen her train. I think that would be really fun. And, a dismount. But, you got your 14.3. It's American Classic. Fine.
Yeah.
Do your Chanko full. Scratch bars because you don't need it. All right. I'd like to see this bars soon. But,
Her vault, Yurchenko full for a 13.25. Pretty beautiful, lovely. Like, don't push it. And then again, No bars because.
So, but do you think if she had missed beam and gotten a low score, if she had fallen, then we would have seen bars today? Because that was my instinct, that it was like, I'm ready to do bars if I need it based on the rotation order to get my 2-event score.
Yeah, I think just for insurance.
She hadn't scratched that on the score sheet.
Right, she was still listed for it.
Mm-hmm. So it was like, it was still that's my read on it, was that it was still in the picture should she have needed it.
Yeah, and I think that was really smart because she didn't have her qualifying score. So she was also...
Right, so the once she got it, then she was like...
Yeah, she was like, I don't... Yeah,
even though we were like, sites to Bardwaj, please. We would like to see.
Just jump up and do that.
Do all of the things we would like to see. You are an entertainer. Let's go.
Okay, based on this one competition,
sure.
that's
very important, very serious, real, with a real broadcast and everything.
Yes, where we got to see warm-ups, and there were lower thirds where they told you who was on. Scott Bregman was doing that back in the day, and they don't have lower thirds. Oh, anywho, you guys. But at least they had scores on the app, my USA Gym app. If you guys aren't using that, put it on your phone. Put it on. You can see all the stuff. It's great, but I have to have it on 2 different screens. But anywho, my complaints. Oh, I have so many more complaints. Like not showing warm-ups. And then did you see that they changed the price today? You can only buy, at least that's what I saw. You can only buy the $99 for the year on the. So here's what I got. It used to be like you could pay by the month, which is what I would do. But then on the Apple TV app, it was $99. But I imagine they might have to add $30 for the percentage. I mean, Apple takes a lot of percentage. That's why people don't keep their games in the store forever. Like my favorite game, Mystery Mansion, it's not in the App Store anymore. I can't even update it and keep playing it. Anyway, you guys.
Oh my God.
I know
it's $64.99 on the website.
$64.99 on the website. The pay-per-view was $20. The pay-per-view is $20. And you know what's interesting about that is people were so pissed about this. There were poor who's answering all their social media person, just answering people being so pissed that all of a sudden the options disappeared. But yeah, they upped their price. No monthly subscription that I saw anymore. But people said that our live show was the best $25 they've ever spent in their life. Actual quote, best money I've ever spent. I mean, this is the value you get because this is the last week to buy your replay tickets for the live show that we did with Kathy Johnson, where 3 members of the 84 Olympic team showed up to the audience to surprise her. And we threw her a retirement party that she didn't know we were throwing her. And there was a whole, Spencer, the ending with the flowers. It's everything I've ever told you I wanted to do. And you were like, oh my God. And I was like,
I know. You were so glad I wasn't there.
I was like, finally.
Fulfill all of your dreams. Yeah.
There was flower throwing, there were crowns. Oh, it's the best thing ever. So if you haven't watched it yet and you want to see something amazing, well, you definitely, I guarantee, hear stories that you've never heard before. Unless you were on teams with her, you haven't heard some of the stories. Oh, here's another one. Michelle says, I would have paid $100 for that show. Oh, and the margaritas were 10 out of 10. Another one. If you come in person, the margaritas are on sale. They're strong. I didn't do any Jell-O shots this year. Me and Kathy ate gummy worms. We always have gummy worms for our guests backstage because Amy gets them for us. And they're delicious. But anyway, that's what you missed. So anyway, last week, this is it. This goes away this week. So make sure if you haven't watched, those tickets are still on sale. Okay, making the team. Who, after this one competition, who's going to make it to Olympic trials? Just make it to trials.
Trials? Okay, so
assuming
trials, they've said it's top 2 all around from championships and then minimum 10. And then they can, that's what we have for trials.
Yeah. So basically
for this meet, I mean, Suni would presumably get an invite, even though she's not the all around standings, because look at that beam. And Jade Jade's 55 would make it. And actually Myli Liu's all around score today would presumably potentially make it to trials if replicated through 2 days of U.S. Championships.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's going to be quite difficult because when you add in, Simone, obviously, Shailise, the world's team, Simone, Shailise, Sky, Leanne, Joss Robertson, and then Kayla DiCello was the alternate. That's already 6 people I would very much assume are going to a 12-plus person trials. Then add Jade, Suni, Jordan Childs should be there. Should have the gymnastics to be there. We're running out of spots quickly. So I would say not that many people that we saw compete today will end up making Olympic trials.
Yeah. Myli Liu is really my only other, like, and in terms of who was in the top.
Hopefully Gabby, presumably Gabby, but today you wouldn't. A Kalia, oh my God. We didn't even talk about Kalia Lincoln, Jessica.
We didn't talk about Kalia Lincoln, who is our number one person as long as she's healthy. Like, she's the one. The one who should have been on last. And Sky. Well, yeah, but I'm assuming last year's world team is going to qualify to trials. So Leanne, Shailise, Simone, Sky, Joss, DiCello, and Kalia Lincoln, the one that should have been on the team, they didn't take her because they made the wrong decision.
Yeah. So, but yeah, and like Gabby's performance today would not make it to trials, but she fell 3 times. And George says, Connor, there, still planning to compete U.S. Classic. As of last we heard,
she said
her intention was to compete U.S. Classic. So again, she's another one gonna have to be under pressure to get a score, because the
that's her one and only shot.
Said, petitioning to trials for Olympians and 2022 World's team members and 2023 World's team members, and omitted 2021 World's team members, which makes it a little harder for Connor if she has to go a petition route. But if she shows up at U.S. Classic and gets her score, that's irrelevant.
Yeah, exactly. I have some other standout moments besides Myli Liu as an entire human to talk about.
Mm-hmm. Are they about CaMarah Williams?
They are mostly about CaMarah Williams.
Yeah.
But did you see Annalise Milton? She's one of the twins from Gage. They compete like level 10 and elite every year. Mm. And she did a kickover front quarter turn.
How very NCAA.
At first I was like, it was so late that at first I was like, that's the worst fake side flip I've ever seen. And then I was like, oh, wait, is she trying a totally new skill? And then I tried to find it really quick in the code. But I didn't see it in my
Was
very
it just
quick.
A kick over front and a correction?
No, she landed sideways, like squarely sideways. And that's why I was like, oh, is she going to try to... I mean, where's she going to submit it to? Like, she would have to go to a World Cup to get it. But still, it's cool. I would like to see that in college. CaMarah Williams. She did her transverse backflip. So backflip on the skinny ways, where you're just looking into the air and then have to flip and land back on the beam. That's how to think of it. There's nothing to look at.
We don't care that she fell. We're glad it happened.
Yeah. She has connected its side flip directly into that back tuck, which is so cool. And then she should do a dismount out of it on 1.5, like Gabby Perea. Mm-hmm. Anyway, but we know that, you have to go straight up in the air and come straight down because, as we know, the FIG won't allow you to put an extra mat there right on top of the judges' heads to make it safer for you. But the judges should move. Okay. What about her hop full with her foot at nose height on floor?
Yeah, that was credit. Her
I was
leg up, hop full. Yeah.
I was like, Jade, are you watching this? That's where you want to have it to make sure you get credit. And then
we have to talk about her double pike. Well, her double pike to forward roll to like choreography.
Her opportunity for comedy. I was like, Morkinen would be so proud of you right now. So beautiful. I love that. I thought of your opportunity for comedy immediately when she did that. I was like, oh, this is how I know Spencer's back. Someone did a double pike to no-handed.
But there were plenty of opportunities at NCAAs, which I was able to go back and watch NCAAs later, like Sav's beam in the team final. I was like, this is opportunity for comedy extraordinaire.
The sloth 360. That's what we're calling it. She went so hard. If she had just leaned into it more, maybe she could have made it all the way around. And then I decided if she did it with, I was telling Olivia this, she did it with straight legs, that could be a real skill. Right? I mean, if you can do a back hip circle, why not what was that skill we used to do in little kid gymnastics and in the playground, we just hold on, straighten your legs and go around the bar.
Danusha did it at that pro exhibition thing in England on the high bar. I also loved CaMarah's double turn to back turn, like both doubles. So nicely done. It was so Athora. And I was like, oh, yes, this is how you capitalize. It's very nicely done. Any other standout moments or comedic moments or favorite leotards?
The people will tell us if they have other things they noticed or want us to talk about.
Okay.
But honestly, this was a better quality American classic than usual. And I think, Olympic year has a lot to do with it. People trying to get ready, but it's not usually particularly well attended because it's the same thing as US Classic, and that's like a real meet, and this is at the camp. But Gabby and Suni showed up and are like, this is a real meet now too. So it was a much more worth the price of streaming admission than I think American Classic often is.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, unless you paid $99. Gymnastics fan says,
one of my nanny charges had to hang like that on the bar at Hills and pull her whole body up. They called them possum pull-ups.
What other questions do you guys have for us about American Classic before we go on to I want to tell you guys all about what happened at Pacific Rims in Colombia, because it was a disaster.
But it's not done yet, right?
No, I know. And it's still happening. That's what's terrifying. I would just leave at this point, honestly. But I want to know a question, and then we're going to talk about Cecile. I'm going to give you the whole timeline because you won't believe how fast she got that job. And then we have to talk about Simone's interview. But let me tell you some of the things while you collect your questions for us. Okay, so you already know it's Colombia, so there's all this stuff about like, oh, you can't go outside at all because of gangs and danger and safety and stuff like that. So it's not like the other meets where they were allowed to like at the end they could like walk around in the market and try street tacos and stuff like that. Not this Colombia meet. So when they were doing their non-podium training, just a training day.
And this is the U.S. team specifically.
The U.S. team specifically, yes, sorry. It started raining so hard that it rained, the arena has holes in the ceiling. So it just rained directly into the arena, onto the equipment.
Liverpool's suing for copyright infringement.
And I guess this is known. This has happened before, that this arena has holes and this goes on. They were taking like pieces of foam and trying to sop up, like pit foam, trying to sop up the water because they ran out of towels. That's how much wetness. The medical staff got tarps and put them over their area to make a tent so they wouldn't get rained on during the podium training. And then all the lights went out. So they're literally in the middle of training beam before it's raining on all the apparatus. And the lights just go out, no electricity. Then the bars that they were supposed to use in the arena were so jacked up and shredded. I don't know how these bars got there, why they thought someone was going to use them. I don't know what's going on. They were so jacked up that they had to no one could work them. So they had to go get a new set of bars and bring them into the arena to use because the bars were so bad. What else happened? The high bar had to be moved because it just kept raining the whole time on top of the high bar. And they changed the warm-up formats because the practice gym was deemed unusable. So they had to change the schedule. And it's just a continuous nightmare. And then on top of this, Spencer, we got sent the new code of points, which we already had the draft code of points, but it was officially sent out. They sent out the wrong code of points. The FIG sent the wrong version of the final code of points out.
Yeah. Cool.
It made me just feel so much better. I was like, everybody makes mistakes. Sometimes you misspell things. Sometimes you send out the whole.
But now we're going to end up with another 2000 vault situation where someone has the old requirements.
Oh my God. I was like, this is bad. I was like, I'm worried for the whole country of Switzerland. Like, this isn't the kind of mistakes they make. Like, I'm very concerned. Oh my God. Okay. Are we ready to talk about?
Gymnastics is going as great as usual.
You guys, it's an
Everyone's
Olympic
on
year.
top of it. It's fine. Yeah.
It's fantastic. All right, let's talk about Cecile being the new co-head coach at Georgia.
Gasp.
Did you even have that on your radar, Spencer?
No, that was not on my list of possibilities.
No, I mean, I knew like eventually they had thought about like, oh, if there's a team in Texas, we would consider coaching there. But no one mentioned her in my, like, all the sources were telling me who's in the mix. And so Jordan was contacted before NCAA finals. So that was, I was like, oh, okay. She turned them down. Then we know, recap from last week, Jay Clark was contacted. He negotiated all the way up to 2 million and kept telling people what it was so that everyone knows their worth. So since he negotiated up to 2 million, and I'm sure, and that was, of course, as I said last week, that was for the entire staff, multi-year contract. Do you think Cecile got something close to that?
My guess is no. I mean, it has to be a lot to be worth it. But as a co-head coach,
I hope she got coach of an Olympic champion. I hope she got at least $500,000. But she's an unproven. College is different. She's an unproven college coach. But I would hope $500,000, because if they had 2 million for Jay Clark, come on, it's Cecile. Like, come on.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I think this is okay. So thoughts, just overall thoughts. Cecile, how do you think this is going to go?
Oh wait, well, I want to tell you about the timeline about her. Oh yeah, so there was also Ashley Miles was in the mix. Liz and Justin, I think, were in the mix too, from Cal. But then I heard that they had made their decision, but like Ashley had only had 2 calls with Georgia. I don't think Liz and Justin had even been there to visit yet or had anything happen. So I was like, oh, they made their decision, but I didn't hear who it was, and then it was none of the people I heard about. So I was like, what's going on? So then I asked Cecile, and she was like, yeah. And I asked her on the record. She said Ryan reached out to her because they had coached at Woga, and he's the coach that was there. Actually, and before that, co-head coach. So what I heard happened was the team had a say, and they were like, and some of the team members said, we will transfer if Ryan doesn't stay. And as we know, like, Ryan was at Alabama, and he's the one that got Lily, baby Nastia Smith, to transfer. So
it wasn't a transfer because she hadn't gone to Alabama yet.
Right, but to move
switch
commitments.
her. Yeah.
Yes, thank you for that.
It's not the same thing because, like, you aren't there yet.
Yes. So Ryan then had a say, I think, and he was like, you know who would be good and who wants to do this eventually? Cecile. So within 48 hours of him reaching out to Cecile, she was hired. 48 hours.
There you go. Business.
I mean, I was like, amazing. So I love the fact that immediately World Championship Center put out a letter that was like, we wish her well, and Laurent is staying here, and like, and everyone was like, oh my God, are they getting divorced? What's happening? And then immediately they were like, is Laurent single? Sign me up. Woo! That's what actually happened. But no, they are happily married, still together. He is staying to help WCC with the influx of, post-Olympic influx they're going to get, obviously, and will help onboard new head coaches. And then Cecile got online to say, oh no, he's not staying there forever. He's going to join me after, he gets through the ceiling and all season. And also their daughter has a diving scholarship to Auburn. So she will finish her senior year. He will stay there with her, and she will set up at Georgia. So that's the plan. So she's not starting in Georgia till after the Olympics, obviously. I hope she gets at least like a week's vacation.
Yeah, which is, I think, another reason why it was so important to have Ryan Roberts as the co-head coach, because you absolutely need someone in place, ideally your recruiter, which he is, for this part of the year. This start after championships is the prime recruiting time. And if Georgia didn't have a head coach in place for these months until Cecile was done with the Olympics, they would miss out on a whole year of recruiting. So I think it was very important also to have Ryan Roberts as there, established. Yes, you have a job. You're the head coach also.
And how easy is it going to be for her and Laurent to just funnel all of their gymnasts directly over to Georgia now?
I'm sure the other coaches are thrilled.
They're like,
the other college coaches aren't going to be resentful and bitter because, famously, college gymnastics coaches are never bitter.
No.
And
they're
so
fine.
they'll all love it. Yeah, it'll be great.
My real question is, Cal going to get a new freaking gym built? Just build it on stilts. That's the only answer. Since they can't use any land, because just build it like in the air. That just
a sky gym.
A sky gym, it'll be beautiful.
We'll have a sky gym. Yeah, I know. They're gonna have to do something to get Justin and Liz to stay because the offers must be lucrative.
Very. And they must be like, think about things that are coming up in the future. Like Bev's got to be ready to retire at Michigan at some point. Ready? Ready?
She's looking at
ready.
Sierra and Gabby are done. Naomi Morrison isn't coming back next year. Bev's like, how about that retirement? Huh?
I won. Let me just
pretty nice right now.
Enjoy my life now. And they'd be good with like another smarty pants school. Like they're very good with managing the people that actually want more than just their NIL money and want like a career afterwards and have to like go to class. So that, not that, everyone isn't allowed to compete with not a GPA, that's unreal. But anyway, speaking of that.
Okay, maybe we're going to say the same thing because I was like, on the NIL topic, did you see that thing with Jay Clark where he was like, thank you to the fans or the team or something, and also thank you to our legislators? And I was like, oh yeah, thank you for our NIL law so we can have 900 people on this team and give them all the money.
I love that they're in the capital of Louisiana, so it was easy to go and like meet the legislators, and he specifically thanked them. Was my favorite thing ever. But I love that they went to the Capitol. I also love that they had a parade that people showed up to, because like UCLA also had a parade, and I'm sure other schools have had a parade, but their parade was like, they had the beads, just like I said they were going to have the beads, which I love. But there was you didn't have to do anything sexual to get the beads, thank God. I'm sure there were some people that showed up to try, but I like that they did it up for them. And I love that the team wore the Everyone Watches Women's Sports TV from shirt from Together. That was great. Linzer says,
will you guys be taking bets on when Georgia next wins?
6 years?
Mm-hmm.
Unless
6 years.
They don't have any real NIL. This is the thing. It's going to be who has the most money, because like Virginia, the state of Virginia just passed a law that they're just like, fuck NIL. You can just directly pay the athletes now. So now that they have done it, everyone else is going to do it. That's how this works. Unless the NCAA is all finally allowed to make rules and the antitrust thing gets worked out and all of that stuff. But it's going to be just who you can pay if you like the coaches and like, but I think I would say 6 years if things stay the way they are. If they LSU it, then 3 years.
I think it's much more difficult than that. And I think that, even though I don't know if Georgia sees it that way, there are ways for this to be a successful coaching partnership that are like a top 10 finish would be really nice. That's a really good result versus where Georgia's been the last few seasons. So Kimberly says, can Georgia win though? Isn't it? It's against the rules. No repeat with a new coach. Jessica's
the curse. Rule. If anyone can break the curse, it's Cecile. I know.
She's not going to be subject to that.
I think she'll do some French magic. It'll be her accent that breaks the curse. Emily says,
Virginia being groundbreaking is something we haven't done since the founding fathers.
So true. Oh my God. I just watched that Apple show about catching the assassin, Lincoln's assassin, Manhunt. And I didn't know the history of Howard, and I didn't know that it was a Union soldier captain who founded Howard, a white guy, founded that school in DC, the historically Black college, like specifically. I learned so much from that show. I'm so disgusted with American education. Like, I already knew I didn't learn anything in school, but I've learned everything on TikTok or on my own, watching documentaries and reading books. But I was like, why? Why didn't I learn this? It was a set. Oh, and did you know that the war secretary, in order to make sure Reconstruction continued as Lincoln wanted it, he barricaded himself inside his office, the war offices, for 3 months. The guy that was dying of asthma the whole time, 3 months, he barricaded the door so the new president couldn't get to him. I think it was Johnson. So that he could finish Reconstruction as Lincoln wanted it. Otherwise,
barricaded himself where?
So the war offices where they had all the
but not just like in his office, because then I had questions about like what's the bathroom situation, what's the food situation. But
no,
just,
the
like,
war
a larger place.
Okay. Yeah, the war cabinet offices where they had all the spy information came in. What are the boops called?
Morse code.
Thank you. They were full of it. So many Morse code. Telegraphs in there. Yeah, all of that was in there. And then Johnson was impeached. Oh my God! And then by one vote, he got to stay. Sounds familiar. That guy put us back.
Why are we spending so much time on this?
Because Virginia was groundbreaking in history. Okay. So the Simone interview. Did you guys listen to the Simone interview on the Call Her Daddy show? So I think this interview is really good because they're already friends and like they had been DMing each other because Simone likes the show. So it was, I think, very revealing in a lot of ways. So I just want to talk about a couple things from this interview. If it hadn't rained, Simone wouldn't be a gymnast. The most important thing.
That's the most Simone story there's ever been.
Like she, we all know the field trip story, and that's how like Amy's mom saw her on the field trip, free gymnastics class, whatever. But they were supposed to go to oil fields. And she was like, how country is that? And I was like, I personally don't associate oil wells with countryness, but I guess if you're from Texas, you're like oil wells, cowboy hats. The second thing is, speaking of that, I found out who those people who were cheering on Oklahoma getting onto the bus were before Oklahoma went to NCAAs. They were like boys with dirty pants, with white jeans with a bunch of stains on them, and they had like a big thing that looks like the kind of thing that are boy clubs in colleges. What are those called?
Fraternities.
Fraternities. They look like that, and I was like, "What's happening?" But they all had mullets and like very the same, and I was a little afraid for them. It's the Roughnecks, and I was like, I'm talking to the Oklahoma people, and I was like they drill for oil? No wonder their pants were dirty. No, they are like a cheer squad. They kept explaining things to me. They're like, the Roughnecks, like who they run out with the wagon. And I was like, they have a wagon with oil in it. So apparently there's like a cheer squad that runs out on a football field with a wagon and horses, and they have something to do with that. And they're called the Roughnecks. And then there's the female version, which have another name, of course. But I just wanted to tell you guys if you were wondering about that. That's who those boys were. But back to Simone wouldn't be a gymnast if she had gone to the oil fields instead of the gym. Thank you for rain. This is why everyone should be stoked when it rains, you guys. If you see anybody being, I hate this weather, be like, do you want to stay alive? Rain. Did you want Simone to be a gymnast? My favorite part won't be a surprise to you, Spencer. She once beat up a kid on a dare because he said that she couldn't beat him up, so she beat him up on the playground.
Good
as
for her.
A little kid. And they used to call her the Swolger when she was little because she was so buff. The greatest compliment. But I guess she didn't feel confident being this buff. Obviously I don't understand that, but that's how she felt. And Allie's talked about that too. Everyone needs to encourage their daughters and all the girls in their life to feel good about their bodies in general, but especially if they have muscles, be like, muscles are great. Muscles, how you keep your body together, stay strong. Muscles are for fighting boys on the playground. She said the first time she danced with a boy was Dancing with the Stars. That was shocking to me.
Okay.
I was like, you didn't go to a single dance, or maybe she went to dances, but she never danced with boys at dances.
We're post dancing.
Oh, we're over it.
Jessica, you're not gonna understand. You're never gonna understand. Dancing's over.
I also was like, weren't you in a video right after Rio with that boy? And you definitely touched him while dancing. And I feel like that's dancing with a boy, but maybe she didn't count that as like partner dancing. She was doubling her medication sometimes in Tokyo because she I'm assuming she said she was on like anxiety and depression medication because she felt like something was off and something was going wrong. She talked about crashing in the warm-up gym. We've talked about that before, but I don't know if she talked about that before, how she was crashing her beam dismount, how she was crashing on floor. And then she said this part that I was like, I don't know if she just misspoke because there was a couple things like she didn't quite get the right word out. But she said that she thought because the vault number was posted that she was doing, I don't know what she was going to do, an Amanar or a Chung, that she had to do that vault. She didn't realize that she could change the vault number, or she could ask Cecile to change the vault number and then do whatever vault, because she kept getting messed up twisting. So she's like, I should just do the Yurchenko double pike because I don't have to twist. And even if I fall, it won't matter to the team score. But she thought she couldn't change the score. So she ran down the vault and runway not knowing what she was going to do, which explains a lot. So, and I don't know if she said that, but that has been explained to her. It was just in the moment she didn't know or what. But I was like, oh, that's an important thing to know. She also thought that when she landed, the first thing she thought was like, oh, Twitter's going to hate me. And I was like, well, Twitter hates everyone, Simone. These are just facts. But I thought that was very sad that she thought Americn hates me. And I feel like this is why no one should ever go on social media ever. It's so bad. But I mean, if you're that incredibly popular worldwide and you like are the whole Olympics, like there's no way to avoid what people are going to say. But that was awful. That's why anyone that says anything mean about Simone, like hurtful and awful, everyone should like report them immediately. report them. She also thought, and again, she might have been saying this in a way that didn't make sense to me, but she thought that if she got hurt on vault, she couldn't be replaced. And I was like, but that's literally what happened. You got hurt and she replaced
couldn't be replaced on the team of 5 or on the Olympic team of 4.
She said, if I got hurt on that vault, they couldn't replace me. And she gave the example of, like, she misspoke and said, let's 2 up 2 count, so they couldn't replace me. So you think she meant in finals?
Or I think, I don't know what she was saying, but it's like replacing on the team versus, Jordan can go up on bars now, which is what happened.
Yeah. But yeah, so those are the things that I think were interesting to me. But I like this because I think she already had a rapport with this interviewer, so I thought it was pretty interesting. Definitely worth the listen. Also, just to see like how much the hate affects her, but I love that her sister slept through her Olympics, and she only woke up because she heard the house phone ring, and she was like, "What's that? The house phone? I feel like something's wrong," and saw that was Simone and answered. Other news that's happened: Congress has banned TikTok, which means basically it has to be sold to a U.S. company. So the parent company, ByteDance, has 90 days to sell the company. So they're going to sell it to an American company. It's not going to be banned. That's just like Virgin America did. They sold themselves to ByteDance has also, they won't sell it, which is terrible. ByteDance, what are you doing? The time frame is likely because ByteDance will challenge this law. Oh my God. Anyway, I love TikTok so much, you guys. And even though somehow they've locked us out of our GymCastic account, I can't get back in.
Good one.
Yeah. So anyway, download all your favorite content now. It's just the culture is so fun there. Like it's just so different than everywhere else. I mean, there's, haters everywhere else, but I feel like Instagram is more like, hello, watch this. I'm sexy.
That's a good impression.
The other thing that you guys should know about is the FTC has banned non-competes. So this matters because it's the most boilerplate in contracts, and many who get NIL money likely have non-competes in their contracts. Also, this means that coaches in general who have non-competes in their contracts may specifically be able to move. So example, an athlete can strike a deal with like Nike and a college, the official school sponsor, but then Adidas when they're going elite. So they can't block you from doing this. Which, remember when this happened literally with Jaji Barbosa and this is why she didn't go to a World Championships, because the federation had a contract with one sponsor and she had her own contract. And because of the conflict, she couldn't be on the team. Horrifying. Terrible.
Unacceptable.
Do you guys have more questions for us before I get to one of the letters we have for this week? I'm going to take a sip of my drink.
Wow. Okay. I'll read this letter, and then people can compose their questions if they have them. Callie says, my boyfriend has reluctantly watched a few elite gymnastics meets with me, but last weekend he watched the entire NCAA finals, and I thought you'd enjoy some of his reactions. 1, kept referring to beam as the bar because it's a bar. To avoid confusion, he insists that uneven bars should be renamed the swingies, which is a very Jessica name.
Love
2,
it.
He loves Anya Pilgrim and now refers to MJ Frazier as our friend. That's great. 3, he firmly believes there needs to be more score differentiation. That is correct. 4, he was complaining correctly that ESPN's score tower was on the right instead of the bottom of the screen so that the actual video boxes could be bigger. When I explained that this was a significant improvement from previous years where only the team totals were visible and not individual scores, he was flabbergasted. This is a man who just a few years ago told me beam was the easiest event because it's just a straight line. I'm very proud of how far he's come and think we may have got ourselves a future gym nerd.
It's just a straight line.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Callie, I'm so proud.
I feel like Vanessa Atler agrees.
Oh, she does.
She's like, it's just a straight line. You can do all these skills. Come on.
I love when we were like, isn't that skill really hard? And she's like, no, it's not hard.
No,
like
it's so easy.
Her take on everything is my favorite thing ever. Cameron says,
what do you guys think of beam scoring this year? Whoa. Elite or NCAA?
Yeah. I'm assuming you mean elite.
Okay. It's too high.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
They're especially artistry deductions. It's so easy. Artistry deductions
just a straight line.
Literally just a checklist on a straight line.
Everyone should get a 7. It's just a straight line.
Oh my God.
The question was about my reaction to NCAA championships. Okay, so yeah, Oklahoma. I didn't see that coming. That's my reaction.
I told everyone it was how it was your fault for not being there, and I read them the list of 2018 when they NCAA wouldn't credential you, and yeah.
So that was I take full responsibility for Oklahoma's meltdown, and it's because I wasn't there. And then in the final, it was kind of like, oh, the best team isn't here. Is that bad that was my reaction to watching the team final? I was like, oh yeah, the best team isn't competing today.
Did you think
but it made it exciting.
Did you think Utah was going to make it? Because I thought, oh, Utah's going to win now. They're going to vault. It's so easy for them.
I didn't. I was like, oh, I was pretty confident if LSU stayed on beam, they were going to win. I did not think they were going to be scored quite like that. When Sierra Ballard got a 995 for the leadoff beam routine, I was like, oh, this is over. They would have to fall more than just Sav to make this anything. So I think that I thought the beam evaluation of LSU at the end made it the total artificially high, and the difference between them and second and third place felt artificially large at the end versus how the meet actually played out and how exciting it was. You know, Oklahoma wasn't there, but it was an exciting competition. I mean, Cal was one Aaliyah Finnegan beam fall away from winning a national championship. So
yeah, it was they beat UCLA for the highest beam rotation ever of all time, and I was like, that didn't feel like the highest
in a final
beam rotation in a final, right?
Yeah, and it was not. I mean, they stayed on, they did what they need to do, but everyone was a little checky, and they kind of forgot that you have to deduct for that, and everything was a 995. But I don't think it changed the result.
So this, why didn't you guys mention Utah at all on Money's Pod? We did mention Utah.
It's because I wasn't here doing quality control, probably.
We did mention Utah, but also we didn't mention them as much because we already did it on the live, on the behind the scenes, that right after NCAA championships. We talked about them much more. But also because I felt like it was more between Cal and LSU at the end. Even though, like, Utah went to vault, and I was like, they have it. When they didn't have it, I was like, okay. And Cal, honestly, is the cleaner team overall. Besides, there's floor routine. I mean, there's Myli O'Keefe, and who does the Queen floor routine that I'm obsessed with? It's so good. It's so much better live than on TV. Yeah, Gilstrap. Oh, gorgeous. But Utah also had those mistakes. Anyway, we talked about them already on the live, so that's why I didn't more extensively.
Bethany asks, has the environment changed at USAG in the lead up to this Olympics versus other Olympics you've covered? What are some things you've noticed that are different this go round?
Sorry, I was thinking about Utah and just thinking about, like, they should win again if they want people to talk about them more. But I have made a note for that. I've just been trying to keep it together without Spencer, honestly. Like, I've been like just trying, like, hanging on by my fingernails. Yeah. But okay, what was the question
now? USAG, has the environment changed at USAG in the lead up to this Olympics versus other Olympics you've covered? What are some things you've noticed that are different this go round?
Ooh, that's a very good question. Yes. It's so much.
I mean, are we comparing it to like pre-2016 or pre like the last Olympics? Because I think those are very different conversations.
Yeah, Tokyo was
pre-2016. A lot has changed.
Yeah, pre-2016, it is a total different world. We can start there. Camp is...
So if you're not a Club Gym Nerd member, this is where our journey comes to an end. There's another 15-20 minutes for club members where we discuss lots of stuff. If you want to become a member, we have lots more episodes like this that we record live right after a competition, including U.S. Classic, including in Hartford, including U.S. Championships. Will there be multiple episodes like this? We have Olympic trials coming up where we will do this. And then, of course, when we're at the Olympics, there's... I don't know. There's like 10 episodes like this from the Olympics. It's almost every single day that there's gymnastics. We do an episode like this. So if you like this kind of content, you can join Club Gym Nerd for more. And then you get our entire back catalog, including College and Cocktails and all the behind the scenes that we do on Fridays at noon during the non-gymnastic season, where we talk about life and answer all of your questions, either emailed in or live. And we won't have a behind the scenes this week because this week is like a catch up and make plans for the time that Spencer is going to be out. And there's just been a lot of scrambling and not having a plan in place. So this is a planning week. So we're taking Friday off. We'll be back on May 6th, and we will talk about European Championships. Then we'll be talking about U.S. Classic, and we're so close to the Olympics. It's like 90-something days away. So thank you guys all so much for your support, and we'll see you back on the 6th. And until then, take a fun gay, split on rights. Thanks for listening.